sadly, with Periscope now sadly, there we go, discontinued. I don't think there is a way of live broadcasting to many people directly. And this works, but it's not marvellous because I don't think anybody gets informed apart from the few people that follow you. Because on Periscope, people are always checking in and seeing who's on. Anyway, at least this is easy to find when I've finished and get lots of replay viewers. So let's see. Somebody said to me recently that I should do some more YouTubes telling stories. Because I mean, the political and philosophical stuff is all very well, but I think I've covered most of it now. It's better to learn it properly and apply it. Don't keep having to have new information on that because it's either right or wrong, and once you know it, you know it. So, stories of my life. Well, I've given the general ones from the beginning to the end. Well, the present. We haven't reached the end yet, thank goodness. Let's get this lined up so I can. There we go. So, it's a various learning experience, travelling experience, people experience. And what you learn from it is something I learned. The most important thing many, many years ago is never take life too seriously. There are certain events which are disastrous, which happen to all of us, but taking life seriously actually makes them worse rather than better. Because if you don't see the light side, the humorous side to everything, and at least have an element of it, you're going to suffer from depression and worse. So it's far better to say, well, life, we're doing our best. Everyone's going to get things wrong from time to time. We're going to get ill, we're going to get injured, we're going to get all sorts of problems. But that is part of life, but don't use it to be a misery. So there's a bit of advice for you. So I've always gone through life, as my mother says, never growing up, always thinking bodily functions are hilarious. Well, there was a stage, I think, when I was 17, where I think I grew out of bodily functions being hilarious. However, the children I knew, who I used to go on holiday with, basically all my friends' younger brothers and sisters, did not want me to stop thinking that bodily functions were funny because they thought they were hilarious and I used to make them laugh. So my friend's brother, called Pyramus, because he was called Pyramus and people call him Pym, but his name was Pyramus, said, oh, come on, don't do that. We think it's funny. He says, say something. I said, what, manure? Ah, manure. Manure, yeah, piles, hemorrhoids. So it's the simplest things, you see. God gave us farts so that everybody with difficulties, with disabilities, can still find them funny. So you can hear them and smell them and everything else. It's very hard to miss a fart. If you're blind or deaf or anything else, everyone knows, at least in one sense, that somebody's farted. So they are God's idea of a joke, as are many other things. And the cat's just woken up. Hello, cat. He's just had to have his first tablet. He's 17, his kidneys are getting a bit old, and he had to have a blood pressure tablet to ease the strain on his kidneys. He had it about an hour or so ago. So I have to watch him for a day to make sure he doesn't have any side effects. He's all right at the moment. Has to be done. We want him to keep his kidneys in good shape. Anyway, so there's Victor doing what Victor does. Hello. So that was the story of my very short abandonment of bodily function jokes, but they all came back and they're still going now whenever they're needed. As I make jokes about everything, I was grown up in the 60s with the world's most politically incorrect primary school children. And if we made jokes about all the disabilities and foreign people and funny accents then, it was because they were bloody hilarious. And we didn't mean any offence. It was all done out of humour. And we had no malice for these people. And said people usually thought it was funny as well. They made jokes about us and it was all mutual. So people shouldn't stop seeing the funny side to Indian accents and West Indian accents and Nigerian accents and any other accents because they are funny. If you are doing something which is accurate and it is representative of somebody working in the local shop or tax office and somebody goes to their own local shop or tax offices, oh my God, the assistant was exactly the same as you are. then you know you are getting it right. So that's why you do it. You sing, yeah, man, wagwan, and all this sort of thing. The man across the road now. Not him, not only the thing now, but the people before him who come out in the summer and sit on the porch and go on their phone and say, yeah, man, all right. You know, you listen to them and you got to get it right. And you go on the telephone and they hear you on the telephone say, where you from, man? Barbados or Jamaica? They not know you're white, man. That get it proper. You get it proper. You get it accurate. It's okay. It's not being insult and thing. So there you go. You see, if you're accurate, you are an actor. And as Shakespeare used to act white people for black people and men for women, then why shouldn't we follow Shakespeare's lead and have anybody performing anyone that they want to, as we did until the 21st century? So there you go. So I've always been a performer. As soon as school got boring, I would stand up and make fart jokes or wee jokes or poo jokes or anything else. And the kids would laugh and the teacher would throw something at me or kick me out and send me to the headmistress's office and stand outside the door. But that was life, you see. I didn't understand why at the age of 7 or 8 or 9, I had to be herded off to school every day and listen to boring stuff all day long. So since we had drama lessons, then I was in my element, but there was only about 1 or 2 hours a week, so that wasn't enough. A bit of pottery and a bit of art, that was creative. I loved that, and I still do. I have my pottery around the house, I have my art on the walls, etc. So I am creative. And we have to have a life where it's balanced between work, pleasure, and everything else. Too much miserable stuff will make everybody miserable, and it's like anything else. If you're miserable, people will catch it. If you're happy or humorous, other people will catch it. You really have to be positive wherever possible, even in negative situations. We can all be positive when things are going well, but in negative situations, it takes practice. Doesn't mean it's impossible or wrong. It just means you've got to fight and work because it's worth it in the end. So there you go. Because there are so many people that will say to somebody, I didn't think you had any problems. That's because I don't show them. You know, you can't help me with the problems. The most I would do is just tell you what they are. But I would only really ask about it if I thought somebody could advise me and help me. But if they can't, I'm not going to start whinging and dumping it on people, as so many people do, because there's nothing they can do. All you're doing is spreading it further around. It's a shame. And it's nice to share it with people, but no more than just letting them know. And that's the end of it, because we all have it one way or another. And I think personal experience, the best way of sharing your problems is to live with a nice family where everything is collected. So you know you're spreading the load over a much wider area instead of it being focused on a point on the individual. It's spread nicely over a large area, so there isn't too much pressure on one person. But unless you have that, you just have to take it all, and this is part of karma, I believe. We have to learn to become self-sufficient, then maybe we can have a partner. I'm still waiting, but you never know, anything is possible. I think I've done my love life before. Why do I keep going off screen? I don't want to use my handkerchief in public where people can see it, because it's quite disgusting to watch. So I use my handkerchief off screen. So there you go. Yeah, the love life. There was one who set the picture when I was 15 and her mother didn't like me and stopped us going out. I have seen a few elements of that since then, but not either all at once or in the same person or anyone that was interested in me. The closest was somebody who I was in contact with on and off for 30 years, more than 30 years. But the first time I met her, we didn't get on, she was too young. The second time, I was worn out and didn't want to travel all the way to Hampshire where she lived, so I gave her to pass but kept her number. The third time she was married, and the fourth time she was divorced and had a boyfriend, but she wanted to go out with me but couldn't because she had a boyfriend. We were both absolutely sort of smitten with each other for 40 years because she was just as interested in me 40 years later as I was in her. But apparently she wanted to stick to her boyfriend, which is a typical karmic spit in the face from karma, which I got, but what can you do? So those have been two of the closest I've got to having serious relationships. Most of the others ended up in mental hospital. Not me, they did. Not for the first time, but when I met them, I didn't know all but one of them had been there before, and the final one went in after she'd met me, but no connection at all. She just developed the same thing the others did. So, you know, I haven't really been blessed with the greatest results with the opposite sex. What can you do? Other than that, I persist and I'm constantly learning. What am I learning? I see patterns everywhere. Every time I'm in a situation that I've seen many times before, I say, oh, there's a situation. There are different varieties of situation. It's the same situation, whether it's talking to somebody that doesn't understand you or crossing the road and nearly getting hit by a car, that sort of thing. I spot them all as being computer programs, glitches in the system where it keeps turning up the same situation over and over again. And then when you spot it, it goes away. Don't know why I've been designed to spot these things, but I've got to a point now where there's hardly anything left I haven't spotted, because it's just like seeing life is running like a machine and it's mechanical. And each time you spot something happening, it'll stop working because it only works under subterfuge. It only works by deception. And when you realize that the machine is working not randomly and in a mixed way, but in a very strict pattern, it can no longer do that because it can't fool you anymore. So that's only for my benefit. I don't think that would help anybody else unless you do the same thing. But it just saves you from getting caught out in situations because, well, I've seen all this before. I'm not going to get bothered by it again. I'm just going to ignore it and say, well, it's just there to irritate me. I'll pass right through and keep going. Life is too short to get caught up in every little thing. And that's the other thing about balancing life. You don't take things too seriously. What you do is you balance things into the really important ones and forget the rest, because the rest are so trivial. It really doesn't matter. They're all here and gone. And what flavour your food is, and whether you get the wrong size clothes or something else, who cares? It happens to everyone. And whether you've been hanging on the phone as I did today for, was it 120 minutes or something? No, I can't count. It's about 80 minutes altogether for 3 different numbers, none of which could help me. I don't get into a fuss about it. You know, I was sitting here on the phone, so what? I was sitting in my chair playing video games while I was waiting. You know, it's not the end of the world. It's just one of those things. But people take all the little things so seriously, they'll die of a heart attack, literally, because it ruins your circulatory system if you're stressed over nothing the whole time. So you really got to reduce your worrying, certainly your concern about everyday life. Say there are a few things which are really important. Everything else is just the ups and downs, the little waves on the ocean of life, and it's not worth getting upset about, because so many people do, and their lives are ruined because they're constantly worrying about little things and making a fuss, which is completely unnecessary. So there's always advice going, because all the events, all the stories I remember, you know, you learn from them. And you watch the soap operas, they're very well written because they understand these things and they see all the challenges that we're given. They see the patterns as well. And they make all different scenarios around the same patterns so that you can see them and entertain you, but you might learn from it as well, because they understand how human interaction works. Because basically we're all given the same playground, but we all have different ways of playing it, like Big Brother. We all have our different role in the play. And, you know, like Big Brother, there's only one winner. You know, you get a few runners up, there's only one winner. And we're not racing against all the other people, because the difference between Big Brother and life is everyone can win, because we're all racing in a different direction of our own ambitions. If our ambition is unique, then nobody else will have our ambition, because even if, for example, I wanted to be a comedian, I've done plenty of comedy work on little stages in the past. I never got the equity card which you needed then to be professional, because I was too busy studying. So I had to be an academic first as a safety net. You're never going to make much money as a comedian like a painter unless you're one in 1,000 people who gets paid for it. All the rest do an awful lot of work and get nothing for it, like poor old Van Gogh. So what you have to do basically to cover yourself, like my friend Simon did, is to get a profession. He's a dentist, and a very wealthy, successful dentist at that. But he made more money through acting because, unlike me, he could do comedy and do acting and studying to be a dentist at the same time, because he's too bloody clever for his own good. So he qualified as a dentist and got his equity card, whereas with me I had to resit so many things just doing one degree. I wasn't going to start doing comedy work all the time as well. It's not playing cricket in the studying is another story. So I couldn't do that. I wanted to do psychotherapy. So when I finished my degree, I went to college for 3 years, once a week, and learned to do counselling, and then did my psychotherapy after that. There isn't much work in it, but I can do it. And it's not the number of people you help, but the fact that you're helping people who wouldn't have got help otherwise, and the fact that it's you that's done it. So it's about quality, not quantity. Reached all of them, but not many. My connection is unstable. Yeah, I've noticed that. Very poor. I'm on extremely fast Virgin broadband on Ethernet, so I shouldn't have. Let's hope it doesn't affect my broadcast. Because that would be bloody annoying, wouldn't it? I wonder who's watching me, because I've only got one viewer. When I was on Periscope, I get 40, 50, 100 viewers, but it's designed only for live, whereas because YouTube isn't, I just do it on live because it's easy to record it that way. I could record it any other way, but not with the webcam. So this is the only way I can do it with the webcam, unless I use the webcam onto my hard disk and then save it onto YouTube. What's the point? This goes on it straight away. So there you are. All sorts of advice. The cat's watching me now, so I've got two viewers, one there and one there. He understands me all the time. He knows exactly what I'm saying. Don't you, Victor? He's thinking. He's always thinking. He thinks more than most people do. Very intelligent cat. So there you are. Bits of advice are always woven in, because when you tell stories, the thing about telling stories is there are points to them as well. And as my Maharaji says, don't learn from your own mistakes wherever possible, learn from other people's, because all the traps in the road are there for everybody. At crossroads and traffic lights will catch out the same people every time. So watch the video at Harrow Driving Centre of how people shouldn't jump the lights and everything, and the hazards are fairly well mapped out. Oh, my connection's unstable again. Yeah, I've had this message last 2 days, your internet has been restored. Well, it should always be on some bloody Ethernet. I'll pay them enough for it. What can I do? Yeah, problems. I've been doing Zoom and things. I never had this bloody problem on Zoom. Never mind. The cat's thinking about it. Yes, Victor. More Felix for you if you want it. I had half his Felix today, but it's been his biscuits instead. Picking at the Felix and then eat 3 in one go. Well, not in numbers. So I've stopped talking, but this bloody connection keeps dropping. I think it's YouTube. Almost certain it's YouTube, because I've been using this all day and I haven't had a single website go slow on me, except YouTube. And I'll do another 10-minute women. That's when I met them. And my degree, that's early 80s. That's right, comedy. So the point is, or old anymore. I just do my assignments and send them. You can get things done. Now, if I've got a dodgy connection, this comes out dodgy, I'm going to do it all over again. I'm not going to impose a broken video on people. That would not do. But I won't know until I've turned it back. What can we do?